State of Workforce and Education Summit 2023. My name is Paige Michelle from the San Marcos Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here with my co-host, Ted Grohalski from the Greater San Marcos Partnership, and together we're gathering with a shared purpose to focus on the future of our workforce and education landscape.
Good morning. We're thrilled to bring you this program today along with our partners at the Chamber. Throughout this event, you'll hear from experts representing public policy, higher education, public education, and employers. Together, we'll explore innovative strategies and collaborative solutions to some of our current challenges. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment and recognize our elected officials who are present today. So please hold your applause until we're through. With the City of San Marcos, we have Council Members Alyssa Garza, Mark Gleason, Jude Prather.
Oh, I thought you meant at the end of that.
Well, yeah, I was pausing for effect.
That was not Mr.
Caldwell County, we have Commissioner B.J. Westmoreland. I want to read them all.
Oh, I thought we were doing it by section.
No.
Okay.
San Marcos CISD Board of Trustee members, Jessica Kane, Sandra Lopez, and Marjorie Villapando, and Brian Shanks.
Now we are clapping.
Now we get
It's
to
a thing.
clap.
We're
Thank
doing
you.
it.
I guess you go ahead.
Okay. In your programs, there's a QR code, and that links you to the full bios of all of our speakers today. We're excited. It's a great lineup, and we're eager to hear the updates that they have to share with us. We want to take a moment now to thank our generous sponsors of today's event. Our title sponsor is LaCima. Thank you, Eric Willis and LaCima. Woo! Our gold sponsors are Texas State University and San Marcos CISD. We have several silver and bronze sponsors. They're listed on the back of your program, and it's all of this support that has made this gathering of influential people possible for today. Our title sponsor, LaCima, a premier 2,400-acre master plan community here in San Marcos, has waived their opportunity to speak today and show a video so that they could allow a little extra time for the Chamber to share this news. The Chamber will be launching a new Education and Talent Pipeline Coordinator position in partnership with Hays County Commissioners Court and GSMP to develop more opportunities for local businesses to partner and support our local K-12 public schools and the students and the teachers. We're also excited to partner with Texas State to promote the launch of the new Support a Student Teacher program. And we have Dr. Michael O'Malley here today who's on hand to talk to you. There's some information at your chair, and he will be in the back after this to visit with you about that program. Thank you, Dr. O'Malley. So watch your Chamber e-newsletters for more details. LaCima also provided 2 full tables today for educators to be here with us. And we've got 16 career and technology educators here. Would you all please wave and be recognized?
But wait, there's more. LaCima also generously donated those Way Cool speaker cooler bags on all your tables. And at the conclusion, we're going to tell you who at each table gets to take them home.
All right, let's commence the State of Workforce and Education Summit and inspire positive change together. We're pleased to begin by introducing the president of Texas State University, Dr. Kelly Damphousse, who's going to bring us the State of Texas State University address. Dr. Damphousse was named the 10th president of Texas State in April of 2021, and over the past 2 years, he has made tremendous impact on the university and on this community. He's accessible to anyone that has a question. He gives so generously of his time, including today. Please help me welcome him to the stage.
Thank you, Paige. Thank you all. So great to be here. It's funny, this is my 14th month here in San Marcos. I started July 1st of last year. And I guess that's 13 months, I guess. I'm not very good at math. And no, it is 14 months. So here we go. I'm better at math than I thought I was. And so it was funny, the first few times I was introduced, people were introducing me as the next president. And then for the next several months, I was a new guy, but now I'm just the old guy now, so after a while. But we're so happy to be here. Beth and I love living here. I'll tell you that several years ago, my daughter, who was living in Gainesville, Florida, said, she called me and she said, I'm thinking about moving back to Texas. She was born in College Station. And I said, where are you going to go? She said, I'm going to go to Austin. I said, why are you going to go to Austin? She said, because Austin's a cool town. I heard a lot of great things about it. And when I got hired, she came down here and we hung around San Marcos a few days, and she said, Dad, I made a terrible mistake. This is a cool town right here. And this is the kind of place young people like her want to live at. And I love being part of this city and all that it has to offer us. Just this morning, I was hanging out with Coach Kinney at the practice, football team's practice, and they were having a scrimmage. And he mentioned something about a post I made last night about how fortunate we are to live in San Marcos, between two of the 10 largest cities in America. We're right in the middle, in many ways, South Austin, North San Antonio, and he uses that to recruit student athletes. He recruited 51 new student athletes to the football team this year. Excited about that, but he said it was the town that we live in. When you bring student athletes here, it's not just about the football stadium itself and the practice facilities and so on. It's about the city, and they spend a lot of time going to restaurants here and going, showing them around town, around campus and so on. And he said the students who he brings here fall in love with this place. So we're so happy and so proud to be part of this wonderful city, and I can't wait to see where we go next. Yesterday, I was at an event at our Star Park facility. Star Park is a business incubator facility where we invite nascent businesses, entrepreneurs who are ready to get going but maybe need a place to start a small office or a facility to kind of get their business off the ground. And we had people from as far north as Round Rock and far south as San Antonio that came together to meet there. And one of the conversations we had there was about how important it was to have a place like Star Park where people can come and get some elbow room, a sandbox to be playing in. And I'm happy to announce that we've got plans to actually double the size of Star Park because it's actually outgrown our need. Our need has outgrown our facility. We actually probably need 3 times the space we have, but we're going to double the space. Shriek Mandayam, I know he's here somewhere. Shriek, right? Our goal is to at least double it very quickly, and then maybe beyond that as well. We want to yeah, very good. Thank you. We want to partner with you to bring entrepreneurs and new businesses to this city, and we want to partner with them when they get here, providing opportunities for our faculty and staff and our students to engage with them, to become some of their first employees, and to help them blossom and to grow their enterprise, and then for their enterprise to eventually graduate from Star Park. We don't want them living in Star Park forever. We want them to build a building somewhere and do something cool like what's happening with the Hill Country Studios. We want to have huge facilities here and huge opportunities for our students who are graduating from here to stay here when they come. Paige mentioned the scholarship we have for our student teachers. Thank you, Michael O'Malley, for being here, for your leadership. He and I were talking about what it takes to support a student. About 1/3 of our student teachers who are doing internships or student teaching in our local schools actually have some funding for that, and it's a paid student teacher job. My wife was a student teacher. She didn't get paid a penny to go. She had to pay for tuition, and then she had to be a student teacher, and then hopefully sometimes she had a part-time job. She was a piano teacher and so on. And so this is a great opportunity for you all to partner with us to help build the workforce in our public schools here. I'm not sure if Michael Cordonia is here. There he is right there, my good friend. We're trying to create great opportunities for those teachers that we're training at our university to stay here and to engage and build the life of this community as well. Just to give you an idea, so I'm not sure if I'm the first one, but Beth and I are going to be sponsoring a scholarship, $3,000 for a scholarship that'll help cover the tuition for a student who's going there, as much as $75,000 to endow the scholarship, and we would invite you to join and partner with us. Help us build San Marcos and CSID to make this a better community overall. That's our key job. That's the thing we hope most to be able to do. Janelle, right here, is Janelle. You're actually speaking today, aren't you? So no, you're not speaking today. I'll speak on your behalf then. So Janelle is actually, Fitzgerald is one of our former student athletes, and she is now the director of our name, image, and likeness enterprise, and it's a collective. It's an opportunity for people to donate to a collective that allows us to actually turn that money over to our student athletes. There's also a lot of opportunities for our student athletes to serve you as well as spokespersons and so on. That's a thing that didn't exist several years ago. In fact, when Janelle first started, probably couldn't do a lot of these things when she was a freshman. But we have a lot of opportunity for our student athletes to engage with the business community as well. So Janelle, thank you for being here. The group is, thank you, standing up. The group is called the Victory Star, is her operation. So if you want to learn more about how you can engage with our student athletes, there's a great opportunity for you to do that as well. I'm really excited about something that'll be kicking off, literally kicking off right before our first home football game. Spending a week in our community with a week-long series of events called Back the Bobcats. And so the Chamber has really bought in on this. My wife and Marcy Coriel, who's Don Coriel, the athletic director's wife, and our head football coach, went around to many of you in this audience and beyond and said, would you help us do something special that week to welcome our students back, but also engage in some community spirit around our first home football game. And so we have some contests that we'll be doing. Businesses are decorating. There'll be exterior decorations, interior decorations, spirit opportunities as well for our local businesses. One local company is actually changing the name of its restaurant for a week. It's going to be, I'm not going to give it away yet, but it's going to be K-Damps something. They're actually naming the restaurant after me for like 1 week. And so they are all in on winning that prize. And I'm not picking who wins, and so I'm not sure they chose the right person to name it after. But it's exciting to see our community gather around what we're doing here locally, because when we have an event where 30 or 40,000 people come to our campus for a football game, not only are we providing great economic impact on our local community, but we're also spreading the word on TV and through ESPN, our ESPN Plus programming, about what it's like to be in San Marcos. So we think that what we're doing here in athletics and beyond is a great economic driver for this city as well. So we're excited about those things as well. So I will wrap things up here to talk about what we're doing on our campus. There's a line in our alma mater that says that Texas State University is the mother of hopes and aspirations high. And so we've named our strategic planning efforts around that line, Hopes and Aspirations High. We have hopes and dreams and aspirations for making this into a world-class university. It's interesting, when I was applying for this job, the profile for this job had 8 bullet points. The 8th bullet point was go to a bowl game. So we're working on that. We hired a brand new football coach. I'm excited about what he's going to do there. When we go to a bowl game, we're going to take the whole city of San Marcos. I don't care where it is. We're going to take everybody out there and go there. We're going to big time. You have no idea what it's like. This university has never been to a bowl game, but we're going to get there with this coach. I'm convinced about that. But we have hopes beyond. That was the 8th bullet point. The number 1 bullet point was about becoming a Research One university. I'll talk a little bit about that. But the number 2 bullet point was about raising the national profile for the university. And becoming an R1 institution will do that. Being successful in football and athletics and volleyball and track and so on, those things all do that. But we're trying to make sure that every corner of the university is telling the story about what's happening here at Texas State. And so our Hopes and Aspirations High campaign, if you want to learn more about what we're doing, just Google up TXST, Hopes and Aspirations. It'll take you to the website, and you'll see all the things that are going on here. I'll touch on a few things here really quickly. I'll talk about enrollment first. So our number 1 goal, the prize that we have to keep our eyes on, is about the students who come to our campus. I have Yaya's right here. She's a teacher, she's a graduate of San Marcos High School. She's a Rattler right there. And Yaya is one of many Rattlers who will be joining us this fall, and one of many students who will be joining us this fall. We'll have nearly right around 8,000 freshmen this year. Some of you, as I look around who are alumni, may remember when there were 8,000 students at Southwest Texas State. We have 8,000 freshmen coming in. Just to give you some context of that, fall of 2020, we had about 5,400 freshmen in our freshman class. And so that's a tremendous growth. Last year was a record. We were about 7,500 students last year. And so if we add another 500 this year, that's a tremendous change in what's happening in our university. We are not just enrolling a lot of people, we're attracting a lot of applicants. We are the #1 applied to university in the state of Texas. Yeah. And while I would like to take credit for that, I can't, because nobody cares about me. But people are looking at this university, seeing the strides it's making, looking at what's happening in this city, the beauty of the city, the beauty of the campus, the breadth of the academic programming we offer, the richness of the academic offerings and the extracurricular activities that we offer. Students want to come here. Last year, Texas A&M was #1, and we were #2, and this year we passed them. 37,000 high school students applied to come here this year, and that's amazing. And so we winnowed it down. 8,000 of the best and brightest are coming here, so welcome Yaya. She's moving in on Sunday, and we're excited about that. One of the problems we don't have enough rooms on campus for all the freshmen, so we're building 2 new residence halls. One will be completed by next fall. That'll add an extra 1,000 beds on campus. We have another one we'll start building before too long, and that'll add another 1,000 beds as well. So we're trying to get more housing on our campus. Our students are graduating at a higher rate. They're not just coming and being part of our freshman class, they're also being part of our senior class as well and graduating. That's a really important thing for us. It may surprise you. I think most people think that everyone who goes to college in 4 years graduates, and the numbers are actually, some parents here know that that's not true. It took me 7 years from the time I was a freshman until I graduated for the 4-year degree. I took a 3-year break in the middle to become a prison guard, and so, but there's 1,000 reasons why students don't finish in 4 years. Nationally, though, what happens is a lot of people drop out after their first year. Nationally, somewhere around 1/3 of all freshmen will drop out after the freshman year. It's about 66% retention rate nationally. We have been running around 75% retention rate. This past year, the past 2 years, we've been at 80% retention rate. That means 80% of our students have retained, which is really good, way above average. But whenever I brag about the 80% who stayed, I mourn for the 20% who left. Now, some of them came here with a plan to go somewhere else, and we actually retain some of those anyways. They get here and say, I'm not leaving here. But some of them already had a plan to go somewhere else. Some other folks decide that this just wasn't a good fit for them, or finances are an issue or whatever. But there are some students who just drop out altogether. Academics don't work out for them. Finances don't work. They don't feel like there's a fit. And so student success has been a huge issue for us. And so we stood up a commission on student success with a goal of having 85% retention for our first year class so that we can increase our graduation rates over time as well. Something like 38% of our freshman class graduates in 4 years. We would like that to be higher. 58% of our freshman class graduates in 6 years. We would like that to be higher too. So those are some goals for us. We're going to invest in that. One of the things we're doing is providing more scholarships. And if you're interested in helping us there, that's also a great opportunity for us as well. The cost of going to college is one of the fastest growing costs that's out there. We're doing everything we can to reduce the actual cost on our end by not spending as much money. But inflation and other costs just drive those costs up. And so we have committed $50 million a year in scholarships for our incoming students to help them get from here to there. And our #1 fundraising priority is on scholarships to help our students get there. So many of our students, thank you. About 48% of our freshman class this year is first generation. That means their parents didn't go to college, and their parents may not have been saving up for college, and so they're going to really struggle. About half our students are Pell eligible. That means the government has looked at their finances and determined that their parents don't make enough money to help them pay for college, and so we're having to backfill that to make sure that every student who wants to get a college degree from Texas State University and who gets admitted and gets in here and does their part, they've got to go to the class and they've got to pass and so on. But every one of those students who wants to finish can finish here, and that that finances aren't the thing that stop them from attending or from completing their goal. We're also backfilling also not just with finances, but also student activities and things like that as well. The other thing we're looking at is our run to R1. So we want to become an R1 institution. There are about 135 R1 institutions. It's the top tier research universities in the country. We believe we can get there by 2027. We are well on the way on getting there. There are some key metrics we're looking at. How much money is spent on research expenditures, and we are well above where we need to be. We'll be somewhere about $140 million this year in research expenditures. So we're well in the realm there. But what we haven't done, we don't have enough PhD programs. We've only started having PhD programs since 1996, and we only have 14 doctoral programs. Only have 12 PhD programs, and we don't have enough students graduating with their PhD from here compared to other universities that have that are aspirational for us, same size as us, UNT and Texas Tech and Houston, for example. They have 39, 45, 50 PhD programs. We're at 10. So this year we got approval to submit 11 new PhD proposals, doctoral programs. Our goal is to double the number of doctoral programs, double the number of doctoral graduates at this university. That also helps with economic development as well. But also we will also increase the number of postdoctorate research faculty here, people who are engaged in research on our campus, but not engaged in the teaching enterprise, so they're full-time researchers. We have about 22 of those now. We'd like to have 100 or so, and those people will come to San Marcos, they'll live here, they'll raise their families here, and they'll be engaged in the research enterprise as well, hopefully working very closely with many of you in this room as well. So our goal is to become R1 institution by 2027, so we're investing a lot of money there, a lot of energy there as well, and I think we're in pretty good shape there. If you want to know more about the run to R1, I'm happy to chat about that. Anyone in our cabinet is welcome. Many of our cabinet members are sitting here, but Shriek Mandayam is our new vice president for research, and he'd be the guy to talk to if you want to learn more about how you can engage in the research process. I'll close with this. I'll close with all the stuff that's going on at this university. I always have to be reminded about why I do what I do. I'm a first-generation college student. My mom went to grade 9. My dad had grade 12. I had no clue I was going to go to college until way late my senior year. I think I applied to go to college in May of my senior year. And somehow, as I told you, it took me 7 years to get it done, but somehow I went to a community college first, took a break, and then I went back to school. Going back to school brought me to Texas, by the way. I went to Sam Houston State for my undergraduate degree. So many of our students are like that, and I met a young lady at a first-generation graduation event 2 Saturdays ago, and her name is Diana Zamora. And Diana's mom is a single mom. She's got 3 children. She works sometimes 4 or 5 jobs at a time to make enough money to send her daughter to go to college. When Diana walked across the stage last Saturday, I was overwhelmed with emotion watching her come to. She had all the bling on. She had every cord that we have, every honors recognition. And I know that her mom was up there watching her and probably thinking about how hard Diana made it. But when Diana got there, I stopped her and I said, "You did it, and your mom helped you get there." And she said, "I wouldn't be able to be here without my mom." And I think about that. I get goosebumps thinking about that, the sacrifices our parents make to help their children come here. And that's my why. Take a young lady like Diana Zamora, who without the opportunity that we provided for her to help her mom be able to afford for her to go to college here, the support that we provided for her, all the infrastructure we put around her made her mom's sacrifice and her own sacrifice, her own personal sacrifice, worth it. And when Diana walked across that stage, she had a 4-year college degree that will change her life forever, but not just her life, her daughter's lives, her son's lives, her nephews and nieces who are looking up to her, grandchildren. There's an intergenerational effect of what we're doing here. Texas State University is in the business of changing people's lives, and we're so proud to be part of this community because you help us do that as well. When I recruit students to come here, I don't just talk about what's happening on our campus, I talk about our community. And we're so proud to be part of San Marcos. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all.
Thank you, Dr. Danfus. We certainly appreciate your vision and your leadership for Texas State as you continue to empower its growth and drive innovation in our region. We're fortunate today to have Brian Daniel. He serves as the chairman of the Texas Workforce Commission, where he works to promote and support the growth of Texas' world-class employers and talented workforce. To champion that goal, he advances innovative workforce and economic development strategies in collaboration with TWC's education partners, local officials, and industry leaders to establish Texas' competitive edge as the best place to work in the world. See, I tell you guys, you're in the right place. Chairman Daniel, please come on.
All right, let's just do it this way. Let's get the most controversial part of this speech out of the way up front so we can enjoy our time together for the remaining minutes. I think, and you cannot convince me otherwise, I accept no further arguments to the fact that Texas absolutely is the greatest state in the nation, and not just for economic development and workforce development, but just because we're Texas. I thought so. I always wait a second here. I take a pause because the Californians will find their way to the door, but I didn't see anybody, so we're going to proceed. It's not just me. Other people think the same thing. Texas has won every conceivable economic development award that they give in this nation. We're like 19 years in a row, best state for business. We're like 11 consecutive governor's cups. That's for the most new projects. I think we just pulled down one at the end of June for the best business climate in the nation. We have won every conceivable award. We are to the point where the people who give out the awards are changing the rules for the awards to try to see if they can get somebody else to win. I appreciate that. I mean, you've got to have news to tell. Texas wins is not really news anymore. It just is. And it's not really about the awards, though. The awards are nice. It's not really about the awards. In fact, when you look past the awards to figure out what we're doing as a state, I can really back up my statement with just some numbers that I'm going to share with you today. Like the kids say. Now, I got the receipts on this one. No cap. The three of you that are under 35, that was awesome that you laughed. I appreciate it. I will report back to Elizabeth Daniel that that one had a mixed response. When you look at just the workforce numbers in this state, it is an excellent measure of what we're doing relative to economic and workforce development. Our workforce numbers are kind of how we measure our success economically. When we talk about a project like the Chamber or the Economic Development Corporation is going to talk about a project, they're going to talk about it in terms of the number of jobs that it's bringing to the community. And so we're always wanting to see growth there. And Texas sees an incredible amount of growth. We lead the nation, in fact, for the last 12 months in the most number of jobs added to a state economy. We've had several months in a row where we've led the nation month over month, but I think it's that 12-month number that we're really looking at. We've got 21 consecutive months now of setting a new record for employment, which means for every month for the last 21 months, each month that came, there are more people working in this state than have ever worked in this state before. There's 15 million people in the Texas civilian workforce. About 14.4 million of them are working. Nearly 14 million of those people are in employment in this state. All of those are records. Those are the highest numbers we've ever posted. Every chart that we look at that's supposed to be going up is going up. Every chart that we look at that's supposed to be even or going down is doing that. There's only one. It's the unemployment rate. It's 4.1% right now, which is the 8th lowest reading we've had for that. When you look at a period in late 2018 through most of 2019, it was like 3.5, and we got really used to that. But I'm going to tell you about a 4.1% unemployment rate. It actually tells you how much optimism people have in getting a job in your state. So 3.4% is pretty much full employment. 4.1% tells us that there's 600,000 people in this state that are not working right now, but are telling us that they would like to have a job. And they're looking for a job. And they think they want to do that job in Texas. These numbers are good numbers. Our civilian workforce is larger than the individual population of 46 states. It's a lot of people working. Our workforce participation rate is about a point and a half higher than the national rate. It's also about the same amount higher than the other states that are of kind of similar size to Texas. There's a lot going on here. And these things don't happen by accident. These things only happen because employers come here really looking for a place that will let them do the things that they need to do to be successful. They have to produce that service or that product for their customers, and so they look for places where they believe they can do that in a successful way. A business can't be in business if they're not profitable and if they don't have the kind of workforce that'll let them provide whatever it is they're supposed to be providing for their customers. And the numbers I just talked to you about, I mean, we added 31,000 jobs in June alone, 50,000 the month before that. We've added 500,000 jobs in the last 12 months. That would all indicate to me that those employers are deciding that Texas is the place that they want to do that. But here's the thing I really came to talk to you about today, because it's also buried right there in our numbers. There's a little bit of a whisper going out kind of across the nation right now. I think probably other states are kind of starting this, but I get it. And it's this. How many more people can really go to work in Texas? How much longer are employers going to continue to create new jobs there like they have been for the last 3 years? How long is that going to, are you really going to look at Texas as a place to go? And I get it. I get it. You know, the last 18 months, maybe the last 2 years, it's remained pretty hard to hire the exact people that you wanted to hire to go to work at your business. That's a true statement. And I've been spending the better part of the last 18 months trying to figure out why that is. I can do that pretty quickly. And then to figure out what's the solution to this so we can continue to see businesses be successful and families be successful because of the jobs that they have. And so Texas continues to be successful. There's 600,000 unemployed people in this state. Just under that, 597,000. There's about a little over 600,000 open jobs in this state. So, bam, problem solved, right? We'll just take those 600,000 people that don't have a job, and we'll just get them one of the 600,000 jobs that don't have somebody in them right now. Easy. Not so easy. I started looking at that, because even at Texas Tech, that math should work. So I start looking at it, and I realize immediately what the issue is. Those 600,000 people, yeah, they don't have the skills that they need to get those 600,000 open jobs. And on its face, that seems like an easily solvable thing. Most people want to jump into the conversation at this point, and they want to just tell me, well, see, if the schools were teaching what they were teaching, then they would have those skills. That's not how it works. This isn't a deficiency on the part of the high schools. This is not a deficiency on the part of the community colleges. This is not a deficiency on the part of the universities. They are all doing what they need to be doing to prepare people the best they can for life, for the workforce, for all the things that they're going to do. But let's dig in and understand why this situation exists. If people are getting what they need in school, well, how do they don't have the skills available for the jobs that are there? You know, when I talk to you about workforce data, I'm taking a snapshot of the workforce data that we're looking at. It actually comes in monthly, some of it comes in daily. I don't get it hourly. It's not like the Dow Jones thing. I mean, I wish I had a ticker like that to tell me Will Connolly hired somebody, boom, it goes on my list. It doesn't work like that. You sat right in my line of sight. You had to know it was going to happen. But we take these snapshots and we look at this data and we talk about it, and that's really kind of what happens educationally to you too. Like, you learn what you need to learn based on what we know about what we need as a workforce right at that moment. Maybe a 2-year window, sometimes a 4-year window. We just heard about a 7-year window. Mine was a 6-year window. And what happens is that nothing ever sits still. Like, we pull the snapshots and we want to talk about that and strategize about that, but what's driving that snapshot is not sitting still. It's in constant movement. We add new tools to the economy all the time. And if you didn't really pursue a dynamic education, meaning you specialized in something or you didn't dig very deep, at the time you did that, there was probably an abundance of jobs you could do, but the landscape's changed completely. It does happen. When I was here last year talking to you guys, I talked about 2 things. One, I am still zoomed out. I'm tired of Zoom. I don't want to do that anymore. I do like having like Star Trek telephone calls when I used to have to drive like 4 hours to have a 30-minute meeting and then drive home 4 hours. As much as I appreciate, you know, Radio Margaritaville, okay, great, we can jump on the Zoom. But like, they're doing Zoom now just because we got it. Somebody Zoomed me from the 3rd floor of the building the other day. I'm on the 6th floor. Get your steps in. I know that's rude, but like, I fought and clawed my way to the top of the food chain. You can come to my office. I'll give you a bottle of water. We get these tools. I mean, that just came from we had Zoom before that. I mean, it completely displaced. What was that other one people used to call, video call on? Skype. I don't even remember the name of it. That's how fast tools move. And think about it. Like, we all keep up because we have to. I talked to you last year about Larry the chatbot, I'm pretty sure, at TWC. Larry's doing great. He speaks 3 languages now. He speaks English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. I know you wanted an update. He can answer 300 questions now. But Larry is old AI. ChatGPT has replaced the functionality of Larry almost entirely. We don't entirely trust ChatGPT because we don't know all, like, we made Larry. We didn't make ChatGPT. But things Larry does are becoming obsolete. SIRI, ALEXA, maybe obsolete. Don't say that out loud. They're listening. And we're worried that these tools are going to make people's jobs obsolete too. That's how skills gaps like that 600,000, that's how they happen. Nobody planned for that. You can't plan ahead for that. Technology continues to change the workforce. And like the Zoom people that abuse Zoom by Zooming me from the 3rd floor, they get enamored of the tool. They start focusing on the tool, not the tactic that they need to deploy. And so they start looking for jobs that fit their tool, and only that tool, until someday, right now every 18 months, that tool's replaced by another tool. So you became completely proficient in the tool. You're the best Zoomer that ever was. And then a new one came along. All the Skype people figured that out. And then there's the Teams. I don't like it as much because there's a chat and I know they're talking about me. It's not paranoid if it's real. And so these tools become obsolete for people and their job kind of goes with the tool. And that's real. And so if you're an employer, you're struggling to stay up with all the tools that are out there because you've got to deploy your tactics that you're trying to do. People are zooming you from the 3rd floor while you're trying to do all that. There's distractions everywhere. You've got 3 jobs to fill, but you can't find someone who's proficient in that thing. It cuts both ways. So I work at the Texas Workforce Commission. It's a big state agency. There's like 5,000 of us. Y'all, we have a computer that speaks a dead computer language. It's called Fortran. It's embarrassing. We have to hire people that speak Fortran. And I'm not, like, I have a lot of gray hair, so I get to say this. These people are old. We are asking people to come out of retirement to come up there and, like, interact with our computer that only speaks Fortran. You know how hard it is to hire for that? Every time the new technology replaces the old technology and you're struggling to keep up, you're creating hiring issues that you didn't even know you were going to have. And then think about the people that the technology passed by their skill set and they're kind of floundering out there because they don't know what to do. I'm looking for somebody to pick on that I think is going to play along with me. There's somebody right there. Oh, I can see you clearly with the spotlight. Yeah, and you look like a friendly person. Way back when you were 18, tell me about it was a couple years ago. Tell me about the training you got on Microsoft Excel. Because it hadn't invented it yet. But do you know anything about Excel?
Use it daily.
Yeah. How did we learn that?
Trial and error, self-taught.
Because we had to. But you know what? You strike me as someone who's motivated, educated, ambitious, and wants to get some things done.
Thank you.
Take the bull by the horns, lead the effort, and get it done. But what if you're scared to death?
You gotta overcome that.
What if you're scared to death and you had 2 kids you didn't expect to have, and you've been doing your best to hold down a job all this time, and like you don't know what to do next, and you lack the confidence to get it done. And now your job's been passed by because a new technology came up and the company went with a new tactic in a different direction. You're gonna need some help, and you're gonna need to find that. And what if you're a small business and there's 2 of you, and you're your best boss and your worst employee, because that's how I would be if I was a small business. And you're trying to keep up, and you can hire some contractors to do some things, but they can't do it all. And you just need one more person to run the thing, but nobody's showing up for the interviews. Because Apple and all the big companies, they're hiring too. You got 3 employees and you're hiring against people that have 9,000 employees in this state, and you're looking for the exact same skill set. I'm not painting a bleak picture. I'm going to give you an opportunity. I'm going to give you a path that I think gets us there. I'm going to talk about some things that we don't like to talk about, the Texas economy, but I actually think we've not yet begun to produce yet. And I think if we get a handle on this and we get organized, we can do this. We double down on things that work, and we're often a victim of our own success. We do things that have worked for us over and over again because we like to do the things that have worked for us, and those will work until they don't work anymore. There's some Lubbock wisdom for you. I think about the Texas Aggie. Walks in a bar, looks up, the Aggie game's just starting. The Aggie puts a $100 bill across the bar and says to the bartender, $100, that Fighting Texas Aggies win this game. Into the game comes, the Aggies did not win that game. Aggie said, well, you win. Bartender says, I can't take your money. Aggie says, that was a fair bet. Bartender says, no, it really wasn't. He says, that was a rebroadcast of the earlier game. I already knew the outcome. I watched it. Aggie said, I watched it too, but I thought if they gave him a second chance, they'd play better this time. That's us doing the same thing we've always done to get success when the whole landscape has changed. It'll be better next time, we'll do it the same way again. I used the hiring fair last time. I don't need that computer matchup stuff for the jobs. You can't bet on the rebroadcast. You gotta look for new tools. And we find ourselves in this trap because it worked once before. More stats. 56% of the jobs in this state do not require a university degree. But they do require some training after high school. 8% of the jobs in this state require no training after high school. 27% of the Texas workforce has exactly no training after high school. There's your first opportunity. 20% of the jobs in this state go unfilled because people just simply don't have the available training after high school. For two reasons. One, they don't know that they need it or where to get it. And two, there's no path for them to do that. They're working. So what does an employer do? Don't just go to the hiring fair. Go to the same exact people. You're about to talk to some of them. Go to one of our workforce boards. There's 28 of them. 3 of the best ones are here today. So they're going to talk about some stuff. Go to your board and ask them for other paths. Say, I might want to try an apprenticeship. I might want some directed training at the community college. I might want some private sector training. Do you have unemployed people that have these skills? How close are they to those skills? The data those guys have is pretty amazing. And they can use it with the data you have to match you up with some people. We just need some tactics. The old tools won't work in the new environment. And so we have to change our tactics a little bit to be able to get to that. But I think sometimes there's even more of an opportunity than that. Would it shock you to know that there are 1.2 million people actively engaged in the Texas workforce that do not have a high school diploma? It shocked me. There's 3 million adults in Texas that don't have a high school diploma. 2 million are non-institutionalized and of working age. So for us, that's between 25 and 65. And 1.2 million of those are working and have no high school diploma whatsoever. What if they just leveled up? What if that 1.2 million people just leveled up? That's half the jobs that are kind of unfilled because the people don't have the skill set. 600,000 are open and unfilled, but how many aren't even posted because we're not sure we can get there? You see, we've got resources to go to. And we've got educational institutions that can help us get there, whether it's the community college, whether it's Texas State University, the other universities, certainly your high schools. I'm the biggest CTE fanboy that ever lived. 20 years, we did not pay attention to that. We're paying attention now. And the reason we're paying attention to that because is if you can just level up that 1.2 million people, that's 1.2 million people that could take a better job tomorrow. Y'all, this is all happening with 350,000 people graduating high school every year, and they need jobs too. 35% of the state goes to college. Our best forecast is that 40% of the people in this state will go to the university and get a university degree, which means 60% of the jobs in this state are still going to be the kind of job that only requires some training after high school and not a university degree. But you can't keep going back to the same old tools. They work sometimes. LinkedIn and Indeed and all of these are driving the technology that drives the changes in what we're seeing in the workforce. And the opportunities that we have to take advantage of these shifts are pretty big. Whether you got 2 employees or 2,000 employees, there are resources there to help you. But you got to tell us what you need. Don't let the government give the answers. Don't let the government define the problem. You define the problem. And you tell us what the solutions are. And we'll match you up with those because we got lots of opportunities. And we've got the people to do it. Sounds pretty easy today, eating this delicious meal amongst friends, lots of smiling faces. Sounds like, man, we got an opportunity. We got 1.2 million people. We're going to train them next week. Then we're going to work on the others. And we're going to have, like, we're in it. We're in it for the long run. We are in it on the long run. But, you know, there's like, what, 300 of you guys here today? I don't know how many employers are in this town, but there's more than that. 90% of the jobs in this state are in 50 counties. This is one of them. Lots of opportunities here, but those tactics are going to change. The tools are changing the tactics. People get married to the tool and they forget really what tactic that they're trying to do. And so the leaders, like the people that go and get the information. That's you. The leaders that emerge and come to the forefront and say, I'm going to lead this effort. Becomes difficult for us to do that because we're fighting against a strong current. And people don't always want to listen. They like what they were doing. They're comfortable with it. And that comfort really sometimes is the cause of where we find ourselves. You talk to a lot of business owners, their number one hiring strategy is hiring the best person from that company over there. That used to be called poaching. I've noticed it's now called spearfishing. I think that sounds nicer. These strategies have to go by the wayside. We've got new people to train that want to be trained, that have opportunities, and we can build you a system that lets that be seamless in what you're already doing so you don't take away from your success. It is not easy. I'll leave you with this thought. It is not easy. Getting people to stop doing something that they like to do something that's new is hard to do. I always think about this middle school principal my dad told me about. She had a problem of the middle school girls. I had 2 middle school girls at one time. Mine are in their 20s now. Like 6th grade, 7th grade, don't wear makeup to school. What's the first thing you gotta do when you get to school? Put your makeup on. In this particular school, nobody knows how it started, but they started blotting their lipstick on the mirror in the girls' bathroom. So they'd kiss the mirror before they go to class. Well, the mirror always had lipstick on it. It's a problem. Principal didn't like it. She told them stop. Announcements, stop. Threats of punishment, stop. Nothing stops. Lipstick on the mirror. Finally, she set her wits in, so she calls every girl in the whole middle school. She calls them all into the girls' bathroom and says, I've asked you to stop. I've threatened you to stop. I've told you to stop. I've begged you to stop. When are you going to stop? I don't think you understand what a burden this is. You have to change the way you're doing this, or we can't move forward. She said, I don't think you understand why you need to change. You need to change because this is very difficult for the school to deal with this. Let me show you. She brings the custodian in. Custodian brings her card in. She says, show the girls how hard it is to clean the mirror. Custodian looks at the mirror, looks at her cart, selects a brush, dips it in the toilet that was closest to her, starts wiping the lipstick off the mirror. No more lipstick prints on the mirror. Be bold, be decisive, be creative. And that's how you lead yourself out of jam. Y'all, that's my time. Thanks so much. I love coming to this thing. Appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Chairman Daniel. Those are important notes and words for an important state. But you know, he did mention a snapshot. This is a snapshot for the state. And to help bring that down to our level, we talk about the innovation corridor. And so what we would like to do is have Mr. Paul Fletcher from the Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area. Paul covers the 9 counties around Travis. We also have Ms. Tamara Atkinson, who is with Workforce Solutions Capital Area. She has Travis County, the north, the central, and the south for that county. We also have Mr. Adrian Lopez from Alamo Workforce Solution. He has the 13 counties around Bear down in San Antonio. So to give us that snapshot of how that applies to our area, please come up and tell us what's going on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank y'all for inviting us here to speak today. I've had an opportunity to present at this summit a couple of times, and I thought this time I would invite some of my peers from our regional area to come talk to us a little bit more about what we're doing regionally, since we're a region. You know, our board areas connect. So I'm in the Rural Capital Board. We're the 9-county area that surrounds Travis County. Tamara, you're the Travis County Board. They call us the donut and the donut hole in the capital area. And then Adrian represents the Alamo area, which is a 13-county area around San Antonio, including San Antonio. So we have an opportunity today to talk about the kind of work that we're doing that spans the whole innovation corridor that we like to talk about here quite a bit. So really the challenge for us is how do we overcome and solve that workforce labor shortage that we've all been talking about since prior to COVID, during COVID, after COVID. How do we do some of the things that our chair just talked about, and make sure we're employing the newest technology, the newest skills that we have to ensure that people understand what that labor market looks like, where things are going, and what they can be doing to impact their careers going forward. One of the things we talked about in our workforce world is how do we better connect with the world of economic development? Because the work that we do is so connected to economic development. We know all of our economic development partners, but it turns out we didn't know each other well enough. So we spent probably 18 months. I had the opportunity to work with Tamara and with Adrian to develop something we call the Texas Talent and Economic Growth Project, funded by the Workforce Commission, but it allowed us to really dig into the data that we have, share that data with our economic development partners, and explore ways that we can work better together. So Tamara, I'm going to ask you to start and talk a little bit about some of that work that we've done.
Absolutely. So it's an honor to be with you today. Thank you for all the work that you do. I'd like to talk a little bit about the response and tell you a little more about the work that Paul just mentioned. But first, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize Chairman Daniel, because without his leadership and the other commissioners of the Texas Workforce Commission, we wouldn't have been able to embark on this project. So Chairman, thank you for your trust in us. The chairman really has talked to the workforce boards for years about what he talked to you about, and that is the workforce boards need to evolve, we need to transform, and we need to continue to remember that we operate in service to the business community and economic development. Think of workforce boards as the talent connectors for the business community. And so with this project, what we endeavored to do is to really look at our unique value proposition in the business community and with economic development, as Paul said. So with resources from the Texas Workforce Commission, we contracted with a research organization, TIP Strategies, and over 18 months, as Paul said, we brought together a 12-person advisory committee made up of workforce boards, our 3, plus economic development professionals. And what we did is we looked at the research, we looked at the data, and frankly, we went out and we asked the economic development community, we asked employers, what do you want and need from the public workforce system that you're not getting? What kind of information would help you with site selection? What kind of information would help your businesses expand in your region? In the end, we put together a very robust report that isn't just a report, it's an action plan for how the public sector, how the public workforce sector in Texas, the vision that the chairman has for how we continue to not just rely on one technology or one tool, how we will do that so that we can continue to contribute to talent connection here in this great state.
So Adrian, could you talk to us a little bit about the beginning of that Texas Talent Program?
Yes, so the report basically came up with 3 goals. And so to the chairman's point about trying to do something different and to try to come up with some strategies ultimately that are going to meet the needs of our region, we came up with these 3 goals. So goal number 1 really talks about sort of how the workforce system, the 28 workforce boards that are under the umbrella of Texas Workforce Commission, are really the Texas talent experts. When you look at the collection of programs that we administer, in my case, upwards of about $170 million budget, next year almost $200 million that we'll provide to the 13 counties in the region that I support. And then when you look at sort of the tools associated with, for example, data and access to information that no one really does provide, it really does position the workforce system to be able to take advantage and assert themselves as the Texas talent experts. And so part of this strategy is that we are the go-to resource for expertise for Texas talent market. In my case today, we probably have about 50,000 folks that are registered and work in Texas and in our region. So to the folks that the chairman was mentioning about how many people are unemployed that are looking for work, in my instance, it's both unemployed but also employed, right? Because one of the things that's actually happened over the course of the last couple of years because of the pandemic is that the labor market has really been shooken up, right, on so many different fronts. And so part of of, trying to be responsive to that is to understand, everybody has an opinion, right? But understand what the data shows in regards to that, like what exactly is happening within, the region. And that's where we come up with these sort of kind of 3 strategies associated with standardized data across our systems, how we can articulate from a data standpoint what is actually happening, where we potentially can make some forecasting, and where we can start to articulate the story of, what's happening in industries, by region, what's happening with the actually labor force, which puts us in a position to be able to really sort of be thought leaders in regards to this. And then lastly, from the perspective of sort of utilizing that to be able to, invest in the resources that are necessary to develop leadership capacity amongst the workforce boards. One of the things that we're doing as these 3 boards have come together as a follow-up to this report is simple things as even just getting staff together to work collaboratively on things like data and business services strategies and, implementation of programs, right? And so you're starting to see sort of the lines start to blur, right? Where you would otherwise in the previous slide, if you were to look at workforce regions, you would see all of the sort of the lines associated with what's capital area, rural cap, and workforce solutions Alamo area. But what you didn't see in that slide is you saw just that there was no lines. And part of that is to understand that even from a labor force standpoint, there's thousands of people that are traveling up and down the region and all across the region from the perspective of folks on a daily basis from Bexar County going to Travis County, to take advantage of employment opportunities that are there and vice versa, and going into the sort of kind of even some of the rural communities. And so understanding that data is going to be key to understanding how we meet the challenges associated with employers and what's happening in the local communities. These 3 boards are working closely because we understand that labor force in Travis County is part of labor force in Bexar County and vice versa in all of the different counties that we support. And so that's kind of a synopsis of goal number 1.
So then this is the second learning that turned into a goal from that work that we did over 18 months. I told you that we went out and we asked the business community, economic development, what do you want from us? And we heard them say, we get so confused by all the programs you have and all the acronyms. And as the chairman said, business recognizes they can't just have one option, one way they look for talent or develop talent. So what we heard was that the workforce system should talk about our services in terms of service optimization. What that looks like is we want to listen to the economic development community, listen to the business community, find out what your pain points are, what your needs are, and then we want to customize and package those services for the business community so that you have what you need when you need it. That means across the state of Texas, we are working to ensure there's a standard menu of what is offered so that a business that does business in South Texas can depend on similar types of services in North Texas or even along our region. So standardization that leads to reliability but doesn't take away the individual labor market flair of each of our communities. We want to have a targeted delivery model. We want to be more efficient in how we deliver services to the business and economic development community. And we heard over and over again, training. Look, the chairman referenced it. We know that for Texas to remain strong and competitive in attracting and retaining business, we must continue to show we have the best trained talent available here. And many times that means training. But again, it doesn't just mean training before they get on the job. In the spirit of service optimization is looking at what are all the ways people obtain skills and grow their skills, both before they're employed and then on the job.
And then finally, under this project, we looked at the things that Adria talked about. We looked at the data that we have available. We looked at the things that Tamara talked about. And we concluded that as workforce boards, we're really conveners to bring all these different groups together and then manage those partnerships and those relationships as we go forward. So, we were tasked with engaging with industry, making sure we understood what the employers were looking for, in better connecting with our economic development partners, in working with our educational partners that are here today. And then finally, working together better with our community-based organizations to make sure we're using all of those resources that we have, that all those resources can be aligned and properly directed, and that we're getting the most out of all of those things. I need one more hand. One of the things that as we expanded our work past the Texas Talent Economic Development Project, we started looking at things that are happening in our region in regard to different industry sectors. And one of those sectors is manufacturing and advanced manufacturing, and looking at ways to better create a talent pipeline to serve the needs for those employers. And one of the ways we thought we could do that is through something that is fairly unique for that industry, and that is creating apprenticeships. We've talked about apprenticeships in a lot of different fields before, but really working to develop an apprenticeship in advanced manufacturing is something we're working hard to bring to our whole 9-county area, and I think Adrian and Tamara are both working on that for their areas as well.
As Paul referenced, we organize our work around targeted industry sectors. And you all probably won't be surprised by this, but when the three of us looked at the industry sectors that are growing and driving the job creation and the economies of our regions, we had a lot of industries in common. Healthcare was toward the top of the list, as you all might imagine. And so coming together, the three of us, we have been working very hard to advance partnership opportunities in healthcare. In the Austin area, we have a Central Texas Healthcare Partnership that is expanding to include the staff, the employers, the job seekers within the rural capital area, because we know that our major hospital systems, they may have a headquarter in Austin, but they are working in the areas all around Austin, and including in fact, they're growing faster in Paul's area than in my area. So the employer doesn't want to have to navigate where they go for what service. They want to know that we're coordinating. So that having a partnership that brings those employers together is an example of that. Paul talked about apprenticeship. We're seeing a huge expansion of apprenticeship in the healthcare field. I can tell you 5-6 years ago, I didn't think of apprenticeship as being something that would be applied in the healthcare industry. Now it's going gangbusters. Thanks to support from the Texas Workforce Commission, we're able to expand the number of people that are receiving training, and hospitals and healthcare providers continue to sign on across our region to take on apprentices. Why? Because apprenticeship is earn while you learn. And we hear from employers as well, we need to go back into the schools and focus on informing students younger and younger about all of the great careers that are available in these different industries. And so you can see some of our examples are about the last 3 bullets on this slide are really ways we're partnering with the school districts in our area to make sure that students have not only the best information about careers, but also the best information about how to access those education and training pipelines to get into these industries.
So another industry that we looked at that's always been in high demand in our area, that's skilled trades. But how do we take the opportunities for skilled trades that have utilized apprenticeship very well in the past, but how do we expand the usage of that, and how do we better educate our educational partners, our economic development partners on the skilled trades opportunities that exist, and really make kids aware of what the career opportunities look like within those industries, and how they can immediately begin to earn while they learn directly after high school, sometimes even while still in high school. They can be making money, gathering skills, and putting themselves well on their way to a great career post-high school.
One of our newest industry sectors that we're supporting and looking at across our 3 areas is technology. And what's really important to note is, and I was mistaken on this, when we first got into this last year, I thought of it as tech company specific. It's any employer that hires someone that works in technology. So it's probably all of us as well, but really doubling down on ensuring that we coordinate our services, coordinate the opportunities to support this industry.
Unfortunately, guys, we ran a little bit long. They're giving me the hook. We have a lot of information to share. Usually, we bring labor market data with us to share. I didn't bring it this time because I think I see people's eyes glaze over when we start talking about numbers like that. But I will get that information out to GSMP and to the chamber, and they can share that with you guys if you'd like to have it. So we appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Sorry we ran a little long.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian, Tamara, and Paul. We appreciate that so much. Thank you for shedding light on these complex times, and your insights will help the employers navigate these times. I wanted to mention, FYI, we are recording today, and we will have video recordings of the different presentations after they're edited, and by a week or two, we'll have those on the Chamber's YouTube channel and be able to share those with others. And just wanted to mention that Dr. Danfus had to catch a flight. He's on his way to a Board of Regents meeting, and he meant to mention that himself, but he wanted me to make sure you all knew that he just had to depart. Next, we are going to hear from a panel discussion with our superintendents. I'm very excited. We have our San Marcos CISD and Lockhart ISD superintendents here, and our interim CEO for the Greater San Marcos Partnership, Will Conley. Y'all please come up to the stage. Join me in welcoming them.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today and sticking around for this important discussion about our workforce, and that all starts with our kids and the future of our workforce. And these are some of our strongest leaders in the Hays-Caldwell County community leading that effort to build the future. Real quickly, first point of privilege, I want to recognize Chairman Daniel, Workforce Commission people here. There's a lot of leaders in this room. You never know what's coming before you. Chairman was chair during the pandemic. All of a sudden you had 30 million people. What are we now? The ninth largest economy in the world? Like the rest of the world, shut down overnight. I get to serve with him on a small role at JET Advisory Board that works with grant opportunities for public education. And the work that they did, the challenges that they had, working with the private sector to keep Texas moving forward is phenomenal. Government institutions sometimes get a bad name, sometimes well-deserved. This isn't one of them, and I'd like y'all just to recognize their leadership and what they did for our state. All right. Well, Michael, Mark, we're old friends, so we're going to stay informal, stay casual here. If y'all would, everything starts with workforce. In my 20 years experience in economic development, every person looking to invest into our region, our community, starts with, well, the workforce. No tax incentives, not regulatory authority, not quality of life. Workforce, then comes all those other things. As leaders in some of our largest school districts in the two-county region, if y'all would please tell us how you're working specifically on building the workforce for the future. I know y'all have some STEM programs, CTEs, dual certification type programs. If y'all would elaborate on some of those and tell us the great work that you're doing there.
You want to go first or me?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. I got my doctorate first. So. We're rivals, but we're friends. So I think it starts first in San Marcos, I'm sure, with Lockhart. It starts with our school board. Our school board, sets the vision for what they want, and the vision really is a learner-centered community. It's understanding the stories that our children and families bring in, and then being the workforce development center. So it's not our place, it's not my place as superintendent. It surely isn't our wonderful teachers' place to tell kids what it is they're gonna do or not gonna do. It is our place to get kids ready to do what they need to do to be ready in the real world. And so we start working with our kids early on in elementary school, bringing down real world experiences, a great partnership with the City of San Marcos and with Hays County, with GSMP and the Chamber in providing opportunities for our children. And then in middle schools, they carry on. And then ultimately when they get to high school, here's our teachers. If you want to shout them out, they do a really good job of iterating every year. And just to show you the numbers, when I got here 8 years ago now, it's hard to believe this is year 8, we had 58 kids in the campus out of 2,300 that had an industry-based certification. Dealing with COVID and getting out of that, we now are 269 kids this past year. So that went from 160 to 269. And that's in large measure to the work the teachers do every day with the kids and understanding their stories and having difficult conversations with them and hugging them when they don't need to be hugged, and then picking them up and getting them ready to go. And then also with the partnerships with businesses. And in San Marcos, I think you will realize we will go anywhere to find a partner. So we have early college, high school. We just graduated our first group last year. Yaya was a part of the Gear Up cohort. It's a partnership with UT Austin, getting kids ready. So she was the first graduate, that whole class through UT. So if you're starting to pick up, we go outside of our network. Our early college is a partnership with Coastal Bend Community College out of Beeville, quite honestly, because the local community college wouldn't adapt quick enough. So we found somebody that would work. Next year, that number goes to 30 kids graduating with their associate's degree, and the following year it's 60 kids, and it'll stay between 50 and 60. That's our growth point. But think about that. That's 50 to 60 kids in the history of San Marcos that never had an opportunity to walk with their associates before their high school diploma. And that's really the work here of the teachers, what they do. It started way back with Mike Doyle when he was executive director, or when he was a director of career technology, CJ Odom. And then we're building our own. I'm glad to hear Dr. Danfus talk about building our own, and that's to work with our new interim chief of HR, Stephanie Munoz, who is a local product. She is a Rattler, she is a BISM. So we have a residency program with our Texas State where we pay them. We learned from Lockhart. We stole from their idea and improved upon it, we like to think. But they are the originators. They got to get credit for that. But we are going to be the only district this year to have year-long teacher residence in the high school. So in the state of Texas. So I think we are the innovation corridor, and you'll find similar things going on in Lockhart.
Thank you.
I knew I should have gone first. Ditto. And we work, we're so close. We realize that regionalism is not just for economic development. It works great for kids. And so in Lockhart, we're doing, pretty much, and I'm not making this up. I have it written down on my paper, 269 as well last year on the CT endorsements. So
Well, he did say he stole it from you, so
when you said that, I had to check. I was like, hold on, did you look at my notes? But we do have a slightly smaller, so I think the percentage would be a little bit better. But
CJ, did you get that number, CJ? CJ, paying attention?
Yeah, but we, so a lot of the similar things, I think it's important, and I think we learned from our keynotes, I couldn't agree more. Technology's changing, the world is changing, and the kids that are coming into pre-K and kinder, by the time they graduate, we can't predict what that future is going to look like. So it is extremely important to start at the elementary school level, exposing students to every career that's out there, the pathways to those careers, and ensuring that they know and that they can have big dreams and they can go for the things that they envision for themselves. And then, we get a little more formal at the middle school level. We have 9 different CTE courses that kids can start taking at the middle school level in Lockhart and kind of exploring. Many of them are exploratory in nature, STEM fields and just career fields in general. Then we start going into more agricultural sciences and hospitality services and health. And then by the time you get to high school, we have 24 career field offerings that kids are able to start off as freshmen, and if they commit to them by their senior year, have a really strong foundation to where they're able to get certifications and have some skills necessary for the workforce. So I think that is incredibly important. What I think is also equally important, because we don't know what jobs are going to exist when our pre-K students graduate from high school, when they go to college. I think we have to continue to push the boundaries to ensure that we're not just educating kids and then pushing them to a CTE pathway. We are ensuring that they have all the academic skills necessary, their numeracy skills, their reading, their comprehension, so that they can make those choices. As Dr. Cardona mentioned, and I agree wholeheartedly, it is not educators, it's not counselors, it's not teachers who need to be deciding which kids are going to go CTE, which kids are going to go to college, which kids are going to whatever choice. That is, our job is to ensure that they have every skill and the information so that they can make that choice, with their parents and in partnership. And the school district's responsibility is to ensure that all of our kids are prepared to make that choice. One, because I believe it's the right thing to do, and then two, because we just cannot predict what those jobs are going to be. One of the things that I'm very proud of, many of you have probably read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Successful People. So we're embedding those habits across the district, starting in pre-K, because those skill sets are incredibly important. We have a graduate profile that kind of really points out to every teacher, every adult in our district, these are the skill sets that our kids need to have outside of the academic skill sets that we know they must have to be successful adults. And some of them are hard to measure, right? How do you measure the ability to learn and unlearn and learn something again, right? How do you measure adaptability, creativity, being able to work with people, being able to set goals and self-monitor and progress, like all these things that probably everyone in this room has, which is why you're successful. We have to ensure that every kid has those skills also, so that they can pivot, they can transition, they can not just survive, but really be successful in the workforce that is impossible to predict in the future.
Let's build on that a little bit. We talked about the uncertainty because our future is changing so quickly. I serve on a school board up in Wimberley, and I know we deal with this as a school board with our new superintendent, Dr. Bonewall, as well. In our discussions, is staying fluid, making sure students have that basis, right, so they have that flexibility to be able to convert into a future that we're just not certain exactly what that will be. What are you and some of your leadership in San Marcos and Lockhart, what do y'all do along those lines to make sure that the kids are getting that foundation and have that flexibility to go into a very fluid national, international economy?
Sure, I think that some of the things that I just mentioned, that it's embedded throughout our curriculum, that it's a part of the planning process at the teacher level. I think that, and I'll tee this up for you, Michael, but I think that a big challenge in reality that we have these conflicting forces where we know that the things that we need to do for kids, but oftentimes the state system creates challenges and worries for teachers to do what is right for kids, right? When you're constantly under the microscope, and sometimes you can have the state speaking out of both sides of their mouths, saying that we need these job-ready, adaptable, creative kids, but then every way that they're measured really doesn't have anything to do with that, and kind of the policies force the actions that of the classroom at times. So that's a constant challenge to where we're having to, as a school district, ensure that our teachers know that we want every kid to be on grade level, math, reading, sure. But we also have to ensure that the way that we accomplish that is actually going to help kids be successful when they're adults and not be a regurgitator of information that they can just pull out their phone and find, in a matter of seconds.
Great point, Michael.
That was a kind way of saying he knows I want to say something probably politically incorrect. But yeah, so I think you all need to understand what Mark said is especially true. And I'll ask Yaya, how many times did you ask about your STAR scores when you were getting ready to go to Texas State? Were you asked about your STAR scores when you went to Texas State? Did anybody care about those? Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, we have this system in place. Anybody? Bourgeois? Yeah, Dr. Bourgeois, you ask anybody about their STAR scores? No, 100% no. So we have these policies that are not student-friendly, right? Yet we claim to be a Christian state. I'm just going to stick with the Christian narrative, right? That we're a Christian state, but we have these policies that mean absolutely nothing to the students we're charged with educating. And we've opened ourselves up, as a system, as Mark has, and we reach out to GSMP and Chamber and say, come on in, tell us what to do. Give us the curriculum you want us to teach for a kid to be in electrical trades. You tell us, you're the experts. But like Mark says, they got to go in front of a computer for 4.5 hours and sit at a test that nobody is going to care about, except for when the A through F rankings come out. And it looks like, no offense, Wimberley is going to be a B probably. And they might go back on this new system. And then San Marcos might be a C or a D and is completely going to miss that we went from 160 to 269 kids earning an industry-based certification, because that's been taken out of the accountability system. 80% of our kids are in a career technology course, so 2,500 kids, right, 2,000 kids are in a CTE pathway, which is a good thing to do. And yet that's not measured. Why? Because a political appointee decided to change the metrics in the middle of accountability systems because so many kids were doing so well. And I say this to say, to Mark's point, we all bought in as superintendents to the governor's declaration a few years ago about by 2030, you remember this, everybody remembers this, but nobody will say anything about it. By 2030, 60% of the students will have industry-based certification, military readiness, or college CCMR readiness, right? And we bought in. And in 2022, we surpassed as a state that metric. So in 2023, the Commissioner of Education says, great, you met that metric, but I'm going to change the accountability score. So that's 60% now is going to go to 85%. For a group of kids that graduated a year before. Now, what business model is that effective? And that's what we get, I get really pissed off about it, right? And this is the reason why, because I'm a product of K-12 private education. Not a lot of people know that. I went to private school. My parents made a choice. They paid their taxes. And nowhere in my 13 years of education experience did I have a stupid test that doesn't mean anything stop the progress of a child in a system to get the kid ready to walk the stage so that they would be ready. My metrics were the Iowa Test of Basic Skills, the Catholic School Entrance Exam when I went to Antonian, right? And my PSAT, SAT scores. We already know those metrics. They haven't changed. Like Chairman, the GMAT Lexile level, the HVAC Lexile level, the nurses certification Lexile level is all within a year of each other. We have to get kids ready to read, write, and do math at the end of the day. But yeah, we have a system that speaks out of both sides of its mouth. Now, we can't be the #9 economy in the world with the best education workforce and continue to attack a system that is producing those great workers. It just isn't going to work. We're tied as a system together. And if anybody hasn't noticed, and he's going to notice, he has the data, he's going to see the number of teacher vacancies that are open this year across the state. And that's going to have a ripple effect in a few years. It's going to have a ripple effect. And honestly, the Commissioner of Education, state legislators, if there's some of y'all in here, I apologize. None of y'all want to listen to WASPs. Anybody know what WASP is? Right? Whiny ass school people.
I did know what that was.
You knew what that meant. Yeah, you know, he's in education. But they will listen to the business people. There's a reason why CTE came back in after a 20-year absence. It's because the business people said, you're killing our state. And then they put it back in. We had 20 years of a workforce that everybody better have gone to college or else. And we all know it's not. And I'm just going to use my own son as an example. He's getting ready to go to college. He's going to Colorado School of the Mines. He starts next week. He started in electrical trades in San Antonio, Texas. He got his OSHA 10 certification. He went and did all that stuff. And he decided, electrical trades isn't for me. I want to become an aerospace engineer. So he's leaving to study aerospace engineering, mechanical engineering, but he carries that OSHA 10 certification in his, it is a proud dad moment when he asked me to get his wallet, which he left at a movie theater. There's the OSHA 10 certification. I'm like, all right, at least when somebody asks who's OSHA 10 certified in college, he's going to raise his hand, and that's because he's a product of public education. So.
Well, you know, one thing that always makes our community so great is we don't have these things scripted out, and we love having differences of opinion and diversity, and I think that's part of our strengths. Coming from a county government, a very autonomous organization, although of course part of our state constitution, into a role of school board, it's much different autonomy there between the state and the school districts, and there are things that need to be improved at all levels. Certainly, there still needs to be accountability, but we need to be able to do what we need to do in the best of education for the workforce that's coming in and for the kids of the state of Texas. And that's challenging, and all our districts have different challenges because of the way we're categorized and the way funding occurs and matched by the state of Texas. So it is a challenge, and we all look forward to continuing to work together on those. But y'all are doing wonderful jobs in your areas. Mark, I think you probably have the fastest growing school district, I would imagine, in the region. Of course, Hayes, San Marcos has been doing that a long time. Wimberley, we try to grow at the smallest rate possible. And then you have, of course, exploding in Dripping Springs. But what's happening in Lockhart, Luling to a degree as well. But Lockhart is if it's not the fastest growing, it will be the fastest growing in the next few years. So thank you, gentlemen, for what you do. I think we're getting the hook and running out of time as well. So thank y'all.
Let's give them one more round of applause. So our thanks goes out to each of you for sharing those valuable insights. I'm Thomas Curtis, Chairman of the San Marcos Area Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. On behalf of our entire Board of Directors and over 500 members, we extend our deepest gratitude for your leadership. As you work to educate and nurture our future workers and leaders, you are shaping the foundation of our future economy and driving change. So in addition to launching the new Education and Talent Pipeline Coordinator position Paige mentioned earlier, each year the Chamber provides scholarships to graduating seniors. This year's recipient is Miss Yadira Castro, a class of 2023 San Marcos High School graduate. Yaya, tell us a little bit about your plans.
Hi, everyone. It's such an honor to be here today. I know I have limited time, so I'll cut it short. But I would just like to say thank you so much to the San Marcos Area Chamber of Commerce for awarding this scholarship. It's truly an honor, and it means the world to me. It's a couple of weeks. I will be attending Texas State University with a major in advertising and minor in digital media. I am so excited to see what the future holds for me at Texas State, and I can't wait to see what opportunities will be opening up for me in these next couple of years. But yeah, this means the world to me that to be accepting the scholarship, and I am just on top of the world. I'm so happy. I would just like to say again, thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right, well, you have our full support, and we hope you have an excellent freshman year, Yaya. Thank you. And we realized we forgot the giant check, so as long as Venmo's still a thing, Chairman, we'll send it to you that way. All right, now for those who's been wondering who's going home with the cooler bag centerpieces, I have the answer. On each table, one of your programs has a small white gear printed on the back panel, lower left panel. Turn over your programs and take a look. If you don't readily find it, our chamber staff will be circulating here in a few minutes. Thank you, LaCima, for those great gifts today. Now, I am proud to call my colleague and good friend to the stage, Scott Burton from the Greater San Marcos Partnership Board of Directors.
Did everybody find that who's taking it home today? Good afternoon, I'm Scott Burton. I'm the current chair of the Greater San Marcos Partnership. Tommy and I would like to take just a moment to thank the staff of the San Marcos Chamber and also the Greater San Marcos Partnership for their hard work in putting this program together. Many of you volunteer and serve on boards and know the board does provide guidance, but 99.9% of all the work is done by the employees of these organizations. So if the chamber staff and the GSMP would raise their hands or stand up, we'd like to give them a round of applause. Secondly, we would like to thank each of you for and express our appreciation for each of you coming today and joining us. Your engagement reaffirms our commitment to shaping the future of the workforce and supporting our education partners. I know the connections that are forged here today will drive positive change in our region and beyond. Let's give one final round of thanks for our speakers today. So with that, I think we stayed on time. Thank you for coming, and we are adjourned.